You hit the nail on the head there with discipline, because I can really see the correlation there between the respect and the discipline which is required in the game of rugby, and how that's been something which you've lived your life by. Let's talk about the game first of all, because I was going to mention I had another rugby player on a little while ago, Paul Sculthorpe, and he made this exact same point, that compared to, say, soccer, particularly soccer in Europe, rugby is a game of respect and a game of routine and of discipline and of commitment. First of all, how did you have to apply those values to your to your life in order to become an elite rugby player?
Well, Simon, I knew to be able to be the best, you got to beat the best. So ultimately, I guided my, I guess, career on some of the athletes that I'd met. I'd seen, you watch documentaries, you hear all these things about being very anal about preparation, or not wanting to run on concrete because it's because of your knees or whatnot. So, and then how hard they train to get where they are. So, from an early age, I understood that if I wanted to become a Wallaby, I need to do things that others weren't doing or weren't willing to do, and break down those barriers, those pain barriers in particular, and also mental barriers, because you've actually got to want to do it. And when the going gets tough, you got to keep either going, or you're gonna beat it, or it's gonna beat you. So I just always had this mindset of nothing was ever going to get in my way of achieving my goals, and if I wanted something bad enough, I'd figure out a way to get there. So if my goal's here and then there's a brick wall that's sort of guiding me there, I'm either going to run through it and break that brick wall down, or I'm going to find an alternative route and get there some other way. So the brick wall route, it tends to hurt a bit more. So smarter, not harder, was my philosophy when wanting to achieve goals. But, I think you touched on it before, that discipline to your outcome, whether it's sport or whether it's business or even health. It's integral in life, and it's a value that I live by.
What was the type of discipline you had to show, just in terms of your daily routine? Because you mentioned earlier that, as we all did when we were teenagers, we weren't necessarily focusing on what was good for us, and that had some consequence for you in terms of your ability to in the short term continue down the sporting path you wanted to. What was when you were playing rugby, what was your daily routine like in terms of both the level of training which all elite rugby players have to commit to, but with you also factoring in ensuring that you were doing what you needed to do to keep on top of your condition?
Yeah, well, I'm a person of routine, and I think being at border and then went to college and whatnot, and then being in a professional environment, I've almost been institutionalised around the importance of routine. So it was finding something that worked for me, ensuring that I ticked all the right boxes in terms of making sure I had enough sleep from the night before and recovered well, and then being able to get up at a certain time to take medications, do all my antibiotics and whatnot before the day had started, and then ensuring I was prepped for the day coming ahead. So understanding what my day was going to be like, when I need to do my medications, how that was going to get done, and still tick off all the professional rugby requirements. And then I guess just describing what a normal week was like in game time. I guess if you sort of picture a pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid's the big base. That'd usually be a Monday, Tuesday, and the closer you got to a game, the less you would do physically. It more became a mental game or mental training, just ensuring that you're across all your strategies, your tactics and whatnot. So I'd work very hard early in the week physically and get all those knocks and everything I need to do early on. And then later in the week, it was just about focusing on the game, the strategy and the tactics, ensuring I knew my role. And, Bill Belichick says it's the best, says it best, is just do your role. But if everyone in your team does their role, you should come out with a pretty positive outcome. And again, Simon, I think that's you being a business person yourself, understand that everyone has roles in the team, whether it's sport or not. If you have the right people committed to the right outcome, then you should achieve the positive result that you're searching for.
Well, there's a couple of things that have resonated with me there from a business perspective. Definitely what you've just said, Nathan, is right. That I think particularly when you're leading in any walk of life, whether it's sport, whether it's business, whatever it is, the leader has a certain role, and those he leads also have a role, and they shouldn't get in each other's way. It has to be defined. Everyone has to be clear on what their goals are, what their objectives are, and they have to be supported and motivated to achieve them. But the other point which really interested me, Nathan, was this issue of discipline and routine, because I'm a big planner. I'm very committed to routine. I plan every day. And occasionally it's put to me that planning and showing discipline restricts freedom. And I totally disagree with that. I think it makes you much more free, because by sticking to routine, by planning well, and by being disciplined, you allow yourself more time to be creative. You win time back to do other things and to improve and to reskill and to fine-tune your skills. Is that something you agree with?
I mean, I think it's all in the look. It's all in the eye of the beholder, Simon. Really, because again, business, personal, health, whatever. What's your strategic objective? Where do you want to get in life? I'm a very driven and ambitious person, so for me, it's as a young CEO and wanting to progress further in the business world. I know I have to put a lot of work in now. And my view is, if I put the hard work in now, I'll become an expert in my field, and later on, I won't have to put as much of that grunt in there, which will allow for that freedom. So, what's a piss poor planning leads to a poor performance, or something along those lines. So, I'm a planner, and I work hard, and I also think by having routine for me and having a plan enables me to have more freedom, because I get the things done that I need to get done within the required time frame. And I set myself boundaries as well, in the sense of, all right, it has to be done by this time, and I'll do what it takes to get it done. If I don't, I have to invest more time into that. And then that allows me, or impacts my social life or my exercise or whatever it is. But yeah, I'm a big planner as well, and I like routine because I get shit done.
Yeah.
And I work well under pressure too, where if I don't plan, I seem to go, oh, well, what's my purpose today? What's my vision? What am I trying to achieve? And I seem to float a little bit. That's me personally, but I still do think it's in the eye of the beholder, and everyone works differently. But I do like routine when it comes to work and whatnot, and having a bit of a plan. So I like having that plan of attack. And then I've got a little to my right here. I've got a little piece of paper with my to-do list on what I need to achieve, and it feels good when I'm ticking things off there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the key word you've used there is vision, because everyone does work differently, and not everybody is a tenacious planner. But I think if you don't have that vision, that purpose in terms of what a good day, what a good year, what a good career looks like, it's very difficult to achieve your potential, because you've not defined yourself what it is. So I would say to anyone, you don't need, a 10-page business plan. You don't need a huge telephone directory size life plan. But what you need is a purpose. You need a goal. And without that, I think it's difficult to be the best you can be.
Completely agree with that. To be fair, I haven't done it this year, but years gone past, I would sit down at the start of the year and do my goals for the year, and that was rugby related, socially related, personal development. I'm always big on personal development too. I think the day you stop learning is the day you die, or the day you stop wanting to learn. Whether it's about cryptocurrency, which I have no idea about, or whether it's about constitutions. That just was on my note list there. So it's always about bettering yourself, and I'm a big believer in that. You never, and this is also, I found a bit of a con in my life, in the sense that you're never at your finished product, and that high performance mindset I've found being an elite athlete is the inability sometimes to celebrate those successes. because you're not the finished product, you're always aiming for that excellence or perfectionism, which you're never going to achieve. But when you actually achieve certain milestones or goals or something on your goal list, you need to celebrate those milestones. And that's something which I've struggled with massively coming from professional sport into the business world. Because in the professional sporting world, you have a simple metric each weekend, which is win or lose. If you win, it's a great feeling. That's your metric. That's what you're going out to do. And that's every single week. And then you go to your next week, whether you win or lose, you've got your reviews, you've got your systems, you've got your procedures in place that you do no matter what. Where in the business world, a lot of the successes you have aren't as, I guess, as, I don't know, maybe it's not as publicised, or
they're not always as euphoric. They're not always as they're not always the most obvious cause for celebration. But you are right; it's so important that you pause to reflect upon what you've achieved, because if you don't know what success looks like, it's very difficult to know if you're headed in the right direction.
Correct. And I'm actually just going through a strategic reset process at the moment, and I find this kind of work very exciting. I really enjoy growth and strategy and whatnot, because it is that vision and something we're working towards. But that stop to sort of smell the roses and acknowledge success is so important too. And I've made it a big emphasis this year for my team, and we're actually doing one on Friday, a bit of a team bonding building session, and just having a quarterly check-in to say, hey, this is where we're at in comparison to our strategic plan. Where are we up? Where are we tracking? Are we tracking well? We are. So, win, lose or draw, let's enjoy this. Let's stop. Let's have a break. Let's have lunch together, and let's just enjoy each other's company, because we're doing bloody good work, and we have to acknowledge that. So that's something that I'm looking forward to this Friday with my team, and something I never did enough of during my career. To your first point is having a look back at my career and acknowledging what I've achieved. I didn't do that enough throughout my career. I was always just, all right, let's move on to the next. How can I get better? Instead of actually going, no, I've achieved a goal. Let's celebrate that. Let's enjoy the moment. So that was probably one of my biggest lessons, I'd say, having finished that first career of mine, is you got to enjoy success, because no one else will, and it can be very short-lived.
It can. I think, though, there's something you've described there, which I see in a lot of successful people, which is that you don't tend to dwell on moments, whether they are very positive moments or moments of frustration. You keep moving forward. So the way I try and look at it, because I mean, one of the things I'm really proud of is that we've started businesses in Australia, in Inspiring Group. But it wasn't as if when we opened the doors on our first business in Perth that we just sort of popped the champagne and just sat about for a few weeks talking about how great we were. It was more that you continue to feel that sense of pride, and you use that as the platform to drive yourself on more. So you should constantly celebrate success, and also not allow past frustrations and failures to knock you off course. So I think that having that moving forward rather than stopping and dwelling is consistent with both enjoying success, but also not letting failure hold you up.
And it's also a big value in rugby too, so let's not get away from that. You're always going forward. So, you always see those goalposts and you want to get in and score a try. But that's exactly to my point just before about these quarterly check-ins. It's to actually track how we're going, and to acknowledge people that have done great work within the business, because, even though I sit at the top of the tree, I would not be seeing the success if it wasn't for the people out there in the front line doing all the hard work, and they're the ones that should be getting the acknowledgement and the reward. And that's how I see myself, and I see the traits of a good leader. It's not someone that does everything, it's the person that surrounds himself with even better people and fills those gaps. And I know where the gaps are, and that's why I want to fill it with people that help me get better, but I'm obviously wanting to help them get better too. So that's how I see my leadership, and I like to empower the people around me to do their job and have that clarity and go hell for leather, because I'll tell you what, our team's done a fantastic job, and I'm really excited about the future of rugby in Western Australia.